We're good. We're live. We're good. See me? All good? Ladies and gentlemen, $87,000. Wow, but it feels awful. $720,000. Wow, it even feels worse. Why? Making money and suffering from mental toxicity is a real thing. If you are an experienced trader or you're a beginner, you have to hear what we're going to talk about here. Our precise daily stock levels, our game plan in Forex, as well as our full stock analysis. I am Mark Melnick, and this is the Newsbeat Show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newsbeat Show. I'm going to share with you something today that very few experienced traders talk about. It's the psychological toxicity actually caused by winning trades. And we have so much more to talk about, as well as examples and so much more. But first, I would like to say thank you to people I may or may not have ever met in my entire life over at the T3 Live Compliance team. Kindly pause this video when you are finished reading it. Go ahead and hit play. Thank you very much for reading that. I appreciate it. A lot of times when I talk about these things, and I'll try to get to Facebook earnings and my thoughts on that because I haven't shared that with you yet. They're reporting tomorrow. I'll try to get to that and more. But one of the things that really plague traders at times are actually, believe it or not, when they make money. And the reason for that is actually the way humans are designed and built. Now, when I go through this today, I have to dig up a lot of emotion because when you come out and you speak from the heart, you're digging up a lot of emotions and things that I have surpassed in my life. It's like you probably forgot a lot of the things you learned in high school or junior high school already that you might or might not use today in your everyday life. And that's the best analogy I could give as you stem up things that has happened in the past. And you might be watching this now and you might say, Mark, $87,000, that should be all my problems. But you have to understand as a trader, it's never about the money. Psychological toxicity can come in at the most random of times. So we're going to talk about two traders today. One of them is Mr. M number one, and the other one is Mr. M number two. So here, Mr. M number one today. This is a screenshot of Mr. M today. I am not both Mr. M's. I'm one of the Mr. M's. Here's Mr. M today, and Mr. M made $87,935 today. A phenomenal day, and with the majority of the money obviously being made right over here in SPX puts, buying basically SPX futures or the equivalency of a massive amount of spider puts today. And really nice, like a really, there we go. I could zoom it in, just crossed out account numbers and whatnot. We don't need to see that. And just here, I guess, yeah, I don't care if you could see the 71 and 141 and the treks. The important thing is right over here, obviously, is the $86,908 made buying puts, betting on the S&P futures, actually going down today. Now, you might look over at this and you might just say, wow, what an amazing day. What an amazing day. And it really is. So, what is the problem? I don't think a lot of you traders understand, you traders out there understand the psychological toxicity that could be caused by a trade like that. Now, the reason why the psychological toxicity was caused was because the trader only made $87,000. The trader, had he held his position perfectly, which nobody could argue that any of us will ever hold a position perfectly. I'm not saying he could have made 300,000 if he held the position perfectly, but Mr. M could have made $2.7 million today had he held his spider position perfectly. So we're dealing with a situation where the potential of the trade far exceeds, not exceeds greatly, but far exceeds the actual P&L realized. So 2.7 million dollars was the um, trading this perfectly, and let's just call it $87,000. We'll round it down. Was trading this like Mr. M number one. So when you see the differential in the P&L, Mr. M could have made 2.6 million more dollars on the trade, but Mr. M was up $87,000 and decided to exit the position like a hero. So where does the psychological toxicity come in? I'm going to explain it to you now. And this is actually very dangerous because it's actually very dangerous for Mr. M over here because Mr. M could have a really, really troubled day in the future if Mr. M is not careful. Again, making $87,000, making $80,000. It's a great day for Mr. M. I mean, Mr. M is not running a hedge fund. This is not a hedge fund trader. This is a very nice day for Mr. M. He has several nice days, but this is one of them. The problem, the problem with Mr. M in the future is Mr. M looks at this trade, and the first thing that comes to Mr. M's mind is not that he's up $87,000 today. The first thing on Mr. M's mind is the fact that he missed out on $2.6 million. This was a very tough thing for me in trading as well. We all try to find the balance between trying to maximize our winners as best as we can and minimize our losers. We all heard the imbecilic, moronic, dumb saying that any trader who says this is a shitty trader. Either was a good trader at one point and is currently a shitty trader. Anybody who says you have to cut your losers short and let your winners run, might as well just put two middle fingers up right in front of your face and tell you to stick them where the sun doesn't shine. That is what that means when they do that. The reason why it's telling someone to cut their losers short and let their winners run, because who the F knows what the hell is going to keep running and what's going to turn around and go down on you? Because in order to perfect that, you need to call a trend in the entire market, generally speaking. You'll always get that little shit $2 biotech stock name that runs from $2 to $5 and doesn't care that the market is falling down. I get that. Generalizing, you're going to have to talk about the entire market moving in the same direction. Now, while everybody would be happy with a day like today, I say it all the time that the trader with the negative mentality will look at this trade, and in the future when they see they're up a lot of money, whether they're up 50,000 or 30,000 on a trade, and they're going to say, last time I was up a lot of money and I had this feeling, my neurological connections in my brain told me to sell. I sold it, and then my neurological connections looked back on the trade and said, I missed out on $2.6 million by not holding my futures puts. So I was in a similar, Mr. M number two was in a very similar situation since the beginning of October. Now, I'm going to talk about Mr. M number two, and then I'm going to talk about the solution because there's a identical solution for Mr. M number one and two. So Mr. M number two watched sale. Um, just happened to be one of his favorite stocks of the year. Mr. M number two watched sale go from 14 and change, where he had his average price, all the way to $34.60 at an all-time high. So Mr. M number two basically um, basically had this going on, and I'll explain what happened here. So Mr. M number two had a very large position of sale, watched it, watched SAIL go to $34 and change, was basically up about 1.7 million. Was up, you know, unrealized. Was up $1.7 million. Now, this is Mr. M number two. Now, Mr. M number two is up, after being up 1.7, Mr. M is up, let's call it about 720 approximately. Or dropped an open P&L $1 million. Two different scenarios. So Mr. M number one never actually saw 2.7 million on the screen. Mr. M looked back and said he could have maximized 2.7 million on the screen, would have been happy with half a million or a million or maybe 1.5 or 2. Definitely felt weird only making 80 or 87. Mr. M number two actually saw the P&L up 1.7, watched it drop without selling a share. $720,000, basically rounded off, dropped $1 million in P&L. So my reaction was like, well, insert F word here. That is the first reaction that you see. The way Mr. M number two addressed this issue was a little different, because the difference is Mr. M number two actually just wanted to make $1 million on this trade. Mr. M number two wanted to make $1 million on the trade. Mr. M number two got greedy on sale point, and Mr. M number two did not sell a single share when it was at all-time highs at 34.60, and is still holding here when it dropped a third in value, let's call it, down to 23.68 where it closed today. The type of psychological toxicity Mr. M number two, suffers from, is a lot different than the psychological toxicity than what Mr. M number one suffered from. However, one would scientifically be able to explain that the same solution could be applied to both Mr. M number one and number two, because the thing is, scientifically speaking, we'll talk about the science behind it, is, again, Mr. M number one, $87,000 day. But here's the thing, Mr. M number one probably never thought about making $1 million on this trade. It was easy for Mr. M number one to look back and actually, instead of having a P&L like this boost his psychological confidence, it actually caused a severe amount of mental toxicity for Mr. M number one. Mr. M number one doesn't realize how much this trade actually helped him and damaged him at the same time. Mr. M number two also does not realize, or maybe does realize, but at the time, how much worse he was damaged, and it had nothing to do with the P&L. Had nothing to do with the P&L, because Mr. M number two wanted a sell sale when he was up $1 million and didn't, like a dumbass, So I took a step back and I thought about this for a second. And the reason why Mr. M number two didn't sale, ironically speaking, sell, is because Mr. M number two thought it was going to $40. Mr. M number two was confident enough where he decided to not watch his P&L. So instead, Mr. M number two took a big hit, while Mr. M number one looked back and said, realized the potential of what he could have made had he held some, all of his position. The answer for both traders, for both Mr. M and Mr. M number one and Mr. M number two, who are obviously professional traders here, is the solution for Mr. M number one and Mr. M number two. Let's just call them M and M. You know, they're going to start a rap album together. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Let's just call them M and M. Um, the solution to them is kind of weird. The trick is right now is to go take out a portion of the money, whatever it is. Me, I've been addicted recently, I kid you not, to like Magic the Gathering cards. Magic the Gathering cards. Old school game. I played it for a long time. I'm a nerd. That's why I say the word nerd very endearingly when I call, people nerds. Like, I'm a nerd. I say it endearingly, like almost like a compliment. Magic the Gathering cards. These cards cost me 20, 30, 34, about 45, $50 for all these cards. It doesn't sound like a lot. But what I did was I rewarded myself this month. I took out, I think it was $1,500 and just splurged it on myself. Splurged it, $1,500. It is, and it isn't a lot of money, depending on how you look at it. And what this did was, when I bought these little shitty magic cards, I looked at them and they make me happy to the point where I keep them on my trading desk because they make me happy that I own these magic cards. I am happy that I own these magic cards. Now, you might be saying, does it have to be a... No, it doesn't have to be a magic card. I don't care what it is, but it cannot be like a pedicure or a manicure, something that you're not going to get long-term reaction from. The trick is in this situation is to force a reward upon yourself for doing a job well done. Because if you don't, Mr. Let's call him Eminem, you're going to F up in the future so bad one day. You don't know when it'll come. But if you don't start forming a neurological connection right now, if you don't start forming um, a neurological connection right now, um, you're going to be in a very weird situation. So, this is my advice to Mr. M number one, and this is my advice to you. If you ever have a good day and whatever it is, let's say, every trader feels shitty, when this happens. So, show me a trader who is up $5,000 and closes the day up 1,000. That trader feels awful. Show me a trader who is down 5,000 on the day and finishes the day down 1,000 and he feels like a hero. Why is that? You need to force neurological connections on your brain through your reward center, because if you do not feel rewarded with a P&L like that, you're going to screw yourself. The trick is, I would say $87,000. What do you want? Do you want a new bike? Do you want, I don't know, a breast job? Who knows? Whatever it is, something that you could always look at and say that you bought. Is it something like a gold ring? Do you want um I don't give a shit what you collect or what you spend your money on, just as long as you spend some of it. It is very important to spend some money on yourself after a day like this. If you don't, it's going to cost you more money in the future. So you might think it's funny that I'm sitting here with $50 worth of magic cards, let's say around me, 40, $50 worth of magic cards near me. But this was a reward for me in the market when I was having modest days, 300 here, 1,000 here, 300 here, 700 here, 2,000 here, 3,000 here, 1,000 here, 2,000 here, just modest P&L days. And I kept this by me to reward myself. And not only that, when I looked at the sale position, I needed to reward myself for this trade because if you do not reward yourself as a trader, you are going to screw yourself up. You are going to screw yourself up. You are going to screw yourself up. So it's very important. Maybe you like having cash. Maybe you made $1,000. Take out $100 bill from that thousand, put it on your desk. Take a $20 bill out, put it on your desk. Buy something that doesn't disappear, meaning not food. You can buy yourself food if you want, but this is not what it has to be something physical that doesn't disintegrate, like food or a manicure, a pedicure, your nails grow back. You need something like that because if the more and more I look at these magic cards, the more and more I know I did a job well done. And if you are going to punish yourself mentally for not doing a good job on this, Mr. M number one and Mr. M number two and M in the future, they're going to be in a situation or a situation where they're going to be having a really good day and they're going to allow their emotions to dictate their next step as opposed to their logic. The truth is, the market was whippy. The market is wild. You want to make an argument that Mr. M number one here could have held 5% of his position, 10% of his position, and let the rest ride? Sure, I'll agree with you. That's where Mr. M number one fucked up. But don't tell me that Mr. M number one screwed up because he sold and had an $87,000 day. And don't tell me that Mr. M number two messed up because Mr. M number two didn't make $1.7 million when he wanted to make a million. I could beat the shit out of number two, or Mr. M number two as a result of this trade. Mr. M number one could really kick his own ass for having a day like today, but it is important as a trader even when your account is negative. Let's say you're having a down month. Let's say your account is down $1,000, 2,000, 5, 10, $10,000, and you have a day where you make $1,000. I am telling you, the easiest way to put on more of those profitable days is to reward yourself. If you do not reward yourself as a trader at that point, you are going to suffer and have a harder time making the money back. The reason why you buy shit like this is to remind yourself why you are working and that working actually gets you cool things. And when you form those neurological connections in your head, you are going to continue to be a successful trader. Mr. M number one, I hope you screw up for the rest of your life like this and have 80,000, 50,000, 40,000, $120,000 days. I hope you screw up royally. I hope you look back at every trade where you're up 100 grand and say you should have been up 2 million. And I'll say, okay, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And you are going to do it again. And you know you're going to do it again. That should be every single problem of your life. But importantly, it doesn't matter how much money you take out. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a Furby that you buy for $5 online, but it has to remain with you. It has to be within your vision. My wife was asking me, like, Mark, why are you keeping, because I had these magic cards on my desk for the past like 3 weeks. She's like, Mark, why are you keeping these magic cards on your desk? And I'm like, I like them. I trade better with them. And she's like, okay, whatever you say there, cuckoo pants. And it's true. Like I look at this and I'm like, this makes me feel good. I don't care what makes you feel good. Don't go for a prostitute. It's not something that you could keep on your desk. Don't go for a pedicure, a manicure, a good meal, a haircut. That is not something that's going to be inside. It's not going to be there in front of your face 24/7 to remind you that you did a good job. You have to buy something new. And one of the best ways to make money is to buy something new. So, for example, there was a hedge fund, not going to drop the name, who someone from the hedge fund gave me a call, dumped all of their Amazon the day before earnings. on this day right here. Right before it hit almost $1,800 on Thursday. Today it hit broke $1,500. It dropped $300 in 2 trading days, Amazon, after Mark Melnick said it had shitty earnings. And he went ahead and sold it. And I talked to him today, and I'm like, I'm not going to give you the name of the whatever. I said, well, you know, how are you feeling? And he's like, great. He's like, we could have sold all our Amazon over 2000. He's like, one of my managers were telling me to. And I said, this stock is going to 2500. I didn't listen. The stock dropped. It was at 1800. And I asked your opinion. I dumped it. So I'm like, what is the first thing you did with the money? And you know what he told me? He said, I bought a new TV for my office and a new TV for all the managers in my office because we all worked together and we all made the decision and whatever. And he also bought me something that I'm not going to disclose. But with that being said, like his first reaction was to spend money. That was his first reaction before he even realized the P&L. He went ahead and he bought TV. He bought like it was over 100 inches. I didn't even know they made TVs like that. Like it's like a effing projector screen. And that's what he did with the money. So the trick is reward yourself modestly. If your account is up, if your account is down, if you're break even, I am telling you, you made $100 on the day. Find something you like for $5, $10. I don't care what it is. Go on Amazon.com, find a little garbage thing you like. You have to discover and figure out what that is that makes you happy. Me, you know, you buy me an 80, $90 box of magic cards, and I'm like, ooh, like a little kid in a candy store, because when I was 14, I used to play the game, and it brings back happy memories from my childhood and my teenage years. That's a good place to start. Figure out what you like, figure out what makes you happy, because that is the way you make more money. So I propose to you this. I propose to you this. Every single day that you make money in the market, every single day, it doesn't matter if it's $100, doesn't matter if it's 87,000 bucks. Don't you don't have to bet all of it. You can. You can bet all of it. You can buy something for 87,000 right now. But if you want to be successful in the future, immediately go to eBay, immediately go to Amazon, immediately go somewhere. You want to buy a new pair of shoes, sneakers, pants. Me, I shit you not, I bought Tommy John underwear one day. Like I needed new underwear. Don't tell me, oh, too much information, Mark. Shut up. Look at this. Look at this. Had a day. I was feeling a little crappy. I was up like 3 grand. Then I ended up like $1,500. And there's Kevin Hart, and he wears Tommy Johns. And I went ahead and I spent $150 on underwear. On underwear. I kid you not. I went out and I bought underwear because I was looking for something to buy. Buy anything. Underwear? I mean, I wear pants. But you could buy anything that is physical, anything that is tangible, anything that you could put in front of you that is going to make you feel good about what you did. If you do not, you are doomed as a trader. In fact, it's something I never spoke about in my entire life as a trader. In my 19 years as a trader, I never spoke about the importance of doing something. Give some to charity, bro. $87,000, give some to charity, buy yourself something. You're going to feel like $1,000,000, and you're going to have more of these days in the future. I promise you. The best way to continue making money is humans. We have a reward center in our brain, and we have a pain center in our brain. If you are allowing this to cause you pain, if if Eminem is allowing this to cause him pain, Eminem is going to be a very sour individual. There are people who would die to have that money. Eminem should give a large portion of that money to charity. Eminem should buy something for himself with that money, and Eminem is going to make a lot more money in the future. Yeah, Japanese ramen is not one of those. See, buy that for yourself anyway. That is not something that's going to be in your face every day. That is the point. I need something that is in your face every day. Oh, so every day that I was up money, I bought something. This is a Ridge wallet. Check it out. It's a Ridge wallet. It costs like $100. Look at like it has a little money clip on the back. See? And it's a new wallet, and it's not the bulky brown wallet, the bulky brown leather wallet I used in the past. So look how slick. Need to get out a credit card? Bang, goes in smoothly. I mean, I just want to because I'm trying to show you this like right here. Like look how smoothly it goes in. Ching, in. Best wallet ever. Doesn't annoy me. I never need to take it out of my pocket. Buy yourself something every single day that you make money. I kid you not, whatever it is. Don't buy 100 little trinkets and then give yourself one every day. You have to buy something every day. Buy them one at a time. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, it's something that I have never talked about in my life of trading, and I don't want to say I'm embarrassed of myself, but I really wish I did. I wish I spoke about this for years because one of the best ways to make money in the market is to constantly buy yourself. Otherwise, what is the point of the grind? If you're waiting to make a certain amount of money before you reward yourself, you'll never get there. You'll never get there. Think about a marathon runner. I've ran New York City Marathon. I completed 26 miles. New York City Marathon. While I'm running, you know how many people, how many sweethearts of human beings out there would hold water out for you? What if I was like, I don't want to drink water. I didn't finish the race yet. Could you imagine that? No. When I was running and I was out of breath and my morale and I had my second wind coming in and I had that pain over here, I got that sharp pain and I'm running through it and I'm like holding it like, and I'm running through the pain with that marathon and I'm running and I'm running and I'm running through it. And then I feel like, oh, it's like mile 10, mile 11. I'm like, I can't finish this effing race. I can't finish this effing race. I have to run through Staten Island and then Manhattan. Like, I can't do this race anymore. And I wasn't even like a like I wasn't winning the race. I wasn't coming in like the top 500. Like that wasn't me. I was just completing it. And I was ready to give up. But when you see that person who is there cheering for you, and you are so far behind, you're not like one of the pack runners. There were no cameras directly on me, following me with a car driving behind me. There was nothing. And you see that person leaning out, offering you water, gave me that energy to keep going another few miles. Then there was another person, another 2 miles, another few miles until the race was done. This is like a marathon, ladies and gentlemen. And every day that you are up money, I don't care what it is. Again, I don't care if it costs 99 cents. I don't care if it costs 99 cents. But figure something out that you collect and make sure that you physically purchase it every single day. Don't order 100 of them and pull it out of the closet every day. Don't be lazy about this. You have to spend money. If you go ahead and you spend money, you're going to have more days like this. And you're going to turn this into something positive as opposed to something negative. You know, there's another imbecilic saying. They say, oh, when traders are on a win streak, they get too confident. It's not that they get too confident. That's again, the sayings in the market drive me stupid because they actually hurt people and bring no value. Scientifically speaking, when you are on a win streak, it's not that you're overconfident, it's that you didn't spend any money on yourself. When you didn't spend any money on yourself, you didn't really feel rewarded because it was just a number on your screen changing. So even though it felt good to make all that money, you actually weren't able to realize its effects because you physically didn't buy yourself something. And it's not about buying yourself something with a P&L like this. It's not like buying yourself, something crazy. You could, I don't care how much of this money you spend. Spend 10,000, spend 1,000, spend 100 bucks, 10, spend a dollar, spend 25,000, spend 80,000 of it, but buy yourself something. The act of buying yourself something is the most important thing. If you do not buy yourself something after every winning trade, think about it like this. Think about it like this. You want to be a successful trader. Let's say me, I like these little magic cards. I like these little Magic the Gathering cards, oldest collectible card game in the world. My favorite game. I still have all my old cards. My collection's worth a lot of money. Let's say I spend $10 every time I have an up day. 200 trading days. Let's say I make money 180 of them. Let's say I make money 180 days. That's like $1,800. Do you think I'm going to make enough money in 180 days to cover $1,800 without blinking? Do you know that you're going to have more positive days if you buy yourself something? It's something that I was doing recently for like the past couple years, and it never clicked in my head that I needed to keep doing it. So this is actually the first time I'm describing it to you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I implore you, ladies and gentlemen, to buy yourself something every single day. You have Amazon, all right? I don't care if you're the laziest person in the world. You have Amazon. Pick your, you don't have to pick your ass up. Go right on your computer, Amazon.com, order yourself something that can sit. It doesn't have to be in front of your screen while you trade. I think that's good, but it has to be something that will not disappear, like food, a manicure, a pedicure, something like that. Buy something, and it's fine to do those things for yourself. Don't get me wrong, but you need to buy something physical that can last forever. Put it that way. Even if it's a bike, the metal isn't going to rust and disintegrate after 100 years, right? Whatever it is, I'm using a bike as a silly example. If you're able to do that, you're going to find success as a trader a lot easier. When you are up money, you're going to be happy with the money because you know by selling those positions, you're going to be able to buy yourself something. And if you start creating those neurological connections in your brain, there's a Yale study showing that you can actually control your reward center within your brain as a human yourself. Seeing numbers on your screen feels good, but it doesn't create the ultimate thing as holding something physical. You have to take whatever you buy and say, I'm using this much money to buy something. Literally, let's say you're buying something for 50 bucks, request a $50 check from your account. I kid you not. You'd eat up, down, all around, wherever your account is. Believe me, you are going to feel a lot better. And believe me, you are going to make a lot more money in the market. What? I'm asking my room questions. Does anyone have questions on that? It is so important. Okay. So with that being said, um, let's go into our full stock not full stock analysis. Let's go right into the Newsbeat algo technical levels. Take a screenshot, print it out. These are the algorithmic levels I'm looking for tomorrow. Um, I'm going to share my Forex and then I'm going to talk about Facebook. I'm going to talk about Facebook. That's something very important that I didn't go over. Right over here, um, just these are my Forex trades. Just by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just by the way, the 200th episode is going to be tomorrow at 12 o'clock. We're going to have a special 200th news beat episode. That's why this episode is 199 and a half. It's kind of funny, but they were setting something up for the 200th episode, so I made this 199 and a half to be silly. But here are my Forex trades, and Facebook is reporting tomorrow after the bell. I'm going to share that with you. Just going to share also some trades I did. So to the PI strangle, I ended up buying light here at 368 because for some reason the calls and puts exploded up. Look, I'm not stupid. I was talking about it here on the Newsbeat show yesterday, and the price of the calls and puts both exploded up. So I still ended up buying some very light. Obviously, we won't know what happens with it until tomorrow. So I did end up buying the PI 20 calls and 17 and a half puts. I did take a number of overnights here today. We had a morning game plan named Ford, which worked out great to the long side. I don't want to go over that. I'd rather go over Facebook. I also bought NVIDIA call spread, which was up 33% by the end of the day. I was buying this NVIDIA underneath $180 near the close. And I bought a bullish call spread light, paid $3 for the call spread here in NVIDIA. I think that's going to work. I also bought a bullish Facebook call spread, 3:46 p.m. Paid $2.15, bought a $140 call, sold 145s. That was for a bullish Facebook call spread. And that, you know, wasn't it. I also bought General Electric, which I have no idea if it's going to work or fail. Um, who knows? Did Mark Melnick give all the by the way, not one analyst upgraded or downgraded General Electric. I was telling the analyst yesterday that they had an opportunity to upgrade General Electric. Maybe they were smart for not taking my advice. Maybe they weren't. We're going to find out tomorrow. But I went ahead and I took a lotto call. I bought like 30 of them. I threw like 1,200 bucks at it. Just a small lotto ticket. I bought $11.50 calls expiring this week in General Electric. They're reporting tomorrow morning. I have no idea what they will or will not report. And I ended up paying 42 cents. You guys want to talk Facebook? What I think is happening for earnings? Let's talk about Facebook and what is happening for earnings. So, by the way, we have this smiley Mark Melnick list here, and I'm going to just remove my mug there. I think we need a number 10. Buy yourself something every single day that you make money. Buy yourself something every single trade, not trade, but every single day you make money. That should be number 10. And okay, so Facebook. Let's go over Facebook. So Facebook earnings. I'm going to analyze and tell you what I think they're going to report. And Facebook is reporting, I think it's tomorrow, right? Facebook is reporting, let's see, just double checking because I want to get this to you before tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow after the close, Facebook is reporting. So let's share some of my thoughts on Facebook. So obviously, there's been a lot of drama in Facebook recently. They were calling for the ousting of Mark Zuckerberg. Honestly, again, I don't believe these computer nerds know how to run companies. Yes, I do think he was very lucky. He didn't actually build Facebook and he fell into the right place at the right time. And he very fortunately made his money. But with that being said, let's talk about what they reported in earnings. Over here on July 25th, they gapped down heavily, Facebook. They reported $1.74 versus the $1.72 consensus. That's like one thumbs up, but they missed on revenue, 13.23 versus the 13.36 in revenue. They saw currency headwind in the second half of the year, meaning that a lot of the money they're making overseas, they're afraid of currency issues. This was back in July. If they were having currency issues back then, they are definitely, definitely having currency um, issues now. They're seeing revenue growth rates down high single digits for Q3 and Q4. And this is what they were reporting before. Um, this is what they were reporting back on July 25th. The earnings before that was April 25th. That was right over here, and they actually gapped up $14. We actually caught this Facebook long on earnings, if you remember, back on April 25th, if you're in the room. Let's talk about those earnings as well. So that was April 25th when they actually gapped up on earnings. So I'm going to take you back in a little time machine, then I'm going to give you my final thoughts on Facebook. So on April 25th, they announced the $1.69 versus the $1.35 in revenue. One thumbs up. 11.97 billion in revenue versus 11.41 billion. Two thumbs up. And their daily active users were, increasing. You know, they said their Instagram results seemed promising. Everything looked positive. Everything looked positive for Facebook um, after that. However, it just ended up not looking good after the last quarter, and they were projecting currency headwinds. If you're having projecting currency headwinds last quarter with what happened with certain currencies, now granted, Facebook is not in China, but even with other currency headwinds, as they like to call them, I think their earnings are going to look bad on paper. I think Facebook earnings will look bad on paper. The only thing with Facebook that concerns me, dare I use the word, with gapping down. So I think Apple earnings are going to look awesome. I think Facebook earnings are going to not look not look good. But the thing with Facebook is you have to stop and ask yourself, how beaten up can Facebook be before you actually start factoring in these earnings into the name? How beaten up can this company be before you say, okay, this is it. This is done going down. The truth is, I was bullish on Twitter before earnings, and Twitter spiked up on earnings and held up despite the market down move. You see that? And Twitter was actually a name we gave you bullish yesterday on the Newsbeat names. Ford was the name we traded today, and that held up beautifully with the market here as well. Even with that being said, I do think Facebook is experiencing more usage. I think they're going to report bullishly on usage. I think their currency headwinds will be negative. Mark Melnick, bottom line, is Facebook ready to beat? Mark Melnick, I'm offering you free calls and puts in Facebook. What do you take? I'm going with the calls. Free calls are free puts of equal value. Have to hold them through earnings. I'm going with the calls. And it's kind of an interesting prediction because I think their revenue is going to suck. I think their earnings per share will beat, and I think their revenue will miss. The reason why I am talking calls in Facebook here is simply because two reasons. A, the stock is decimated. And if you remember what I said, stocks that are beaten up can get away with earnings that are positive and negative with a mixed review. That's why I said on Amazon, one negative thing in Amazon it's going to hit the fan. That was another phenomenal call on Amazon. And, I think Facebook does have the ability to look weak, but with all the geopolitical bullsh going on in America, and especially prior to the midterm elections, I think Facebook usage is going to be good. I think their ad revenue is going to surprise you. I would be again, I don't think they're going to beat across the board like Apple will. I do see Facebook gapping up on earnings. And that might surprise you because I was bashing it forever. And let's just forever, ever since the whole debacle over here after the last earnings. And rightfully so. It's been heading lower and it's lower than it has been since I started bashing it, right? Now Mark Melnick is at the point where he's like, you know what? I'm going to turn into bullish Mark Melnick on Facebook because for the same reason why I was bullish on garbage Twitter, for the same reason why I thought Twitter was going to be and buy Twitter calls and Twitter's numbers are going to look good, and they did, and I was right, is the same reason why Facebook should be able to gap up. Now, again, I do believe they are going to be light on revenues. That is the headwind. And the currency headwinds, absolutely, but are they real? Are they really subject to like US Chinese tariffs? I think they're kind of immune to that. They're not immune to the Forex headwinds, but they are immune to that. I think Facebook user minutes are going to surprise you, and Facebook ad revenue. I want you to look at those two things on earnings. I think those are going to be extremely bullish. I am bullish on Facebook for earnings. I'm leaving it as a thumbs up. I know that surprises a lot of you after I've been so bearish on it, but look, I was rightfully bearish on it. I could be rightfully bullish on it. I might be wrong. I might come back and say, guys, the user minutes sucked. Their ad revenue sucked, and I was wrong. And I'll be the first person again to admit that. But pre-earnings analysis, bullish on Facebook. I'd be kind of stupidly insane not to be bullish on GE. Again, I think GE can report 10 negative things and one positive thing and gap up because GE is like, you know the song they play where they're like, you're 99, you're 90 cents a day can feed a child and give this child a chance to learn and yada yada yada, and they're playing like the Sarah McLachlan songs like the eyes of angels, and like they're playing that music. Like if the stock market had a theme song to General Electric, that would be the theme song. So when you have a stock that has a weekly that looks like this, I mean, you can announce bad stuff and people are going to be like, yeah, that's what we expected. But you announce one thing good in General Electric, which I think they will. I think they're actually going to announce more. I think their earnings per share and revenue are going to beat. And the analysts are going to be like, wow, I think they're going to gap this thing up. Obviously, I said that yesterday. Obviously, I bought calls today. Obviously, I still feel that way. And with that, we do go into our full stock analysis. That is for Newsbeat Live members only. We have Newsbeat show number 200 tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Please tune in. We're going to have something very special for you. We're the largest, fastest growing trading room in the nation. Happy trading, make money. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Newsbeat Live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.